Welcome to Lessons in Overthinking and Obsessing. Today, we're going to explore the experience of when someone else's mood, behaviors, choices affects your mood. Someone else directly impacts how you feel, your self-esteem, your happiness, your ability to function. We're going to talk a bit about why this can happen, how it relates to your triggers and core wounds. You guys know that is my language. That kind of link with the overthinking. And you'll take away at the end a reflective question that you can journal on to really help you begin practicing like a healthy detachment from these people, to start really being able to practice self-love. Those of you that are on the journey doing this work so that someone else does not affect you in the same way, we need to be practicing healthy detachment and a deep self-love. I'm Carly Ann, a psychotherapist, speaker, facilitator. I help overthinkers who get stuck in spirals to understand their triggers, become less reactive, to build your confidence so that you can feel calmer, more yourself in relationships, and also start thriving in work, in business, and life instead of being run by anxiety and overthinking. Let's have a think about adults today. When you're an adult wanting to live a secure adult life in healthy relationships and, contentment and just living your best life, for lack of better words, let's think about what interrupts that. What kind of background makes it so that it's hard to live a peaceful life when your mood is affected by others? Why are some people so affected by other people's moods and actions? If you grew up in a household where you had to keep the peace in some way, or love felt conditional, you had to be a certain way, be a certain person in order to receive that love, or where you learn in some way to constantly read other people's moods to feel safe. Really listen to that. You had to understand and read and be on guard. You were like on eggshells when it came to other people's moods, their behaviors. It is very possible that you have become highly attuned to other people's emotions. It's possible that now, as an adult, how other people are can scare you or trigger you, or you're in preparation for other people's moods and behaviors, and you mold yourself because ultimately you want peace, you want love, you want a happy life, and you've learned that the way to get that is to be on guard in some way. Some of you would have grown up around conflict and emotional kind of unpredictability, where your caregiver's moods and feelings dictated just the atmosphere of your home. The reality is that experiences like this create core wounds for us as adults, core wounds that came into adulthood, that came into to our relationships today. Core wounds around you not feeling good enough, or having to make other people happy, or believing you have to earn love, you have to earn approval. And today, in your relationships and who you are at work and as a friend, these core wounds can become so easily triggered. And your nervous system and my nervous system continue scanning for signs that something might be wrong. Our body hasn't caught up with the fact that we are this actually intelligent, emotionally mature adult. That's not caught up, and so we still get triggered. If there is an underlying wound, you probably have just this inner knowing. If you've got these underlying wounds of not being good enough or low self-worth, or you have an anxious attachment style, it's then that your mood is really reliant on other people, their words, their actions, their behaviors. If they're warm and attentive, you feel secure. If they seem distant or quieter, don't reply to your messages, your whole world can become kind of rocky, unstable. And these moments, they are almost the perfect breeding ground for overthinking. As your mind starts to search for certainty and gets triggered into the past, and you want reassurance and you want to fix this because you want to feel safe again. And rather than giving that to yourself, you're looking to other people, or you're looking to this one person for that. One of the things that people report to me the most when, say, it's in an assessment session or a single session, I'll tell you a bit more about the single sessions later if you are someone that wants to dig deep into, your own attachment here or reliant on other people's. I'll tell you more about that. But one of the things that people often will describe to me is when it comes to other people, it's almost like I've lost myself. My happiness and my self-worth is so tied to other people. And I can understand that. Trust me when I say I've been someone that would put my self-worth and my happiness, I might as well have been able to tie it up in a bow and give it to the person that I liked, because my mood depended on them. And even now I can see if it can rely on my partner or it relies on a colleague at times. But luckily, but as we're doing the work, it becomes much easier to not get lost in that and not spiral. When I'm thinking about what I want to share with you guys today that really understand this topic and feel this topic and are living this topic, I wanted to introduce the concept of healthy detachment. It's not kind of a buzzword that I'm using all the time. But right when I was really thinking about, okay, if we want to stop overthinking, which I know you guys do, and you don't want to overthink based on someone else's mood and their behavior because you want to be able to get on with your day. What do we need? And yes, self-love and, boundaries. But I kind of thought, well, all of that kind of comes into this. Healthy detachment is self-love, right? Healthy detachment is a compassionate way of caring about others, whilst also it's so deeply rooted in self-love, not selfishness, not at all. Healthy detachment is not about not caring. Think of those moments when your mood changes. For example, let's say, depending on how someone else seems. Maybe if your partner is quiet, you immediately think that you've done something wrong. If a friend or a colleague seems upset and you can't stop thinking about it and you struggle to focus and you've just got this off feeling, then in those moments, we're really seeing my mood is dependent on them. Let's take an example of Jane. Jane's partner seems quieter than usual, and she starts worrying immediately. She wonders if she's upset her partner or done something wrong, and she feels anxious until things seem back to normal or until they've had it out. But she's anxious in that ambiguous space where they're being quiet. Then there's D. D, if her colleague is in a bad mood, it stays on her mind all day. She's actually finding it hard to concentrate because she's so focused on how they're feeling. She's offering them drinks. She's trying to take work off of them. She's giving them that extra look, that extra smile. She can't quite focus. Something feels off for D. Jane and D, they both care deeply about the people around them. And how wonderful is that? Yeah, we are deeply caring people. But somewhere along the line, Jane and D, they've become so connected to other people's emotions and behaviors that their own well-being, their own day is affected by it. And if you recognize yourself in Jane or D, in these stories, you're not alone. And it's the perfect time to tell you about the single sessions I'm offering. I offer weekly sessions. However, that's sometimes not what people need. So I'm currently offering a single session package. This is your opportunity to get to the core of your main problem right now, and it is specifically tailored to your specific issue. A signature single session with me is your chance to ask questions, deep dive into the issue, discover active core wounds, and receive tailored techniques and specific support to you after the session. We'll have a single session together. I will then go away and record for you specific techniques and create a workbook for you, specifically tailored to you, for you to practice over the next week. You're then going to have 7 days live chat with me where you can message me, ask questions about the tool or about something that came up in the session, and we will troubleshoot. We will support you to be able to implement what you've taken from that 2 hour session together. If that sounds like something you want, go ahead, book it with me. It'll be, depending on where you are in the world, it'll be therapy or coaching. It's £250. So if you're not wanting to commit, if money is sort of what contributes and you're not wanting to commit to long-term therapy, then it's a great option for you. Or it's a great option for you if you just know, I just need help with this one thing right now. If you know you react in the ways that I'm describing today, based on other people or based on one specific person, if you know you're losing yourself based on one person or other people, the reality is that your nervous system is so tuned into other people that you're finding it hard to soothe yourself, to trust yourself. And usually, this is a sign that our core wounds are activated in some way. The things that we've been through, things that perhaps we haven't healed yet, the things that trigger us into people pleasing, overthinking, or trying to fix and manage someone else. There is somewhere this idea of, if everyone else is okay, then I'll be okay too. If they're giving me their love in this way, then I'll be okay. It's almost like these rules that you're living by. Now, this will have been understandable as a survival strategy earlier in life, but it leaves us exhausted and even disconnected from ourselves today. And I'm going to repeat myself here intentionally around healthy detachment. I want to say again, healthy detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or become distant. It doesn't mean you're going to become cold and you're going to shut people out and you're suddenly now avoidant. It simply means you're recognizing that someone else's feelings aren't yours to carry. You can care deeply. You can stay compassionate while also allowing other people to have their own experiences. Healthy detachment is an act of self-love. One simple way that you can begin practicing healthy detachment is to pause and ask yourself, is this my stuff? Is this mine to carry? I really personally, I love the idea of when I recognize that I'm carrying someone else's stuff and that that's the reason I'm worrying about things in the future, or I'm doubting myself, or I'm unable to function. When I realize this is not my stuff, it's not for me to figure out. It's really powerful. Even just that sometimes just lets my shoulders relax a bit. The next time you find yourself slipping into that overthinking or feeling responsible, you can ask yourself, is this mine to carry? If the answer is no, that's when you gently can remind yourself, okay, I can be there for this person. I can care about them without fixing or carrying this. Fixing or carrying it for them. Just see for yourself as you even imagine that. Does it feel possible? What happens in your body when you say these words of, not letting your mood depend on someone else? And you can go a step further in terms of self-reflection for you personally, because it's not a one size fits all. Just considering yourself right now, you're listening to this episode for a reason. How is it that your mood is relying on others? How is that already looking for you? Is it your mood? Is it your behaviors? Is it your self-worth, or all of the above? What's the impact that that's having? Because so often it's taking something away from you. It can be taking just our daily peace of, I just want to sit down, I want to watch this show, and I want to enjoy my dinner. Sometimes it's taking that away. Sometimes it's taking our creativity away, the energy that we have, that we only have a certain amount of energy a day. The energy that I have to give to my passion, to give to my growing business, to give to other people around me, to give to work. what else is important to you, the energy for that often is taken away. And my question to you is, are you willing to stay in this pattern? Are you willing to continue in adulthood? You've been through what you've been through. You've had your experiences, and we're not going to dismiss that. We love those parts of us in terms of healing them. We offer them compassion. We offer them love, our inner child, our hurt parts. That's really important. And yes, we understand them. But are we going to continue letting those parts like drive us today, make our decisions and control our relationships and take our happiness? This other person, whilst might be important in your life, you are so much more than this. You're so much more than the stuff that other people are doing or thinking or being. You have gifts, you have your life to live, you have your passions. If you don't know them yet, then of course that's other work to do. There's always work to do. But some of you do know your passions. Some of you do know what this is taking away from you. It's either taking away your ability to know who you are and what you love, or it's taking away who you are and what you love. You know, you've got to learn the power of pausing when you know that you're about to react, or when you're falling into overthinking, or you're falling into your insecure patterns. You've got to be able to pause and recognize before you jump into the fixing, reassuring, worrying, because it's time to teach your nervous system that you're safe, that you're an adult, and that I'm not saying you're going to feel perfectly okay when someone else is acting in a certain way, not at all. But can you stay present? Can you stay grounded? Can you live your life anyway? Can you be with the discomfort that you're experiencing? I certainly believe that we can learn to, because I can tell you now, I can think of an example yesterday where I was able to think, that is not my stuff. Yes, okay, I've set a boundary and I appreciate that that might now be creating some tension, but that's not my stuff. It's not for me to think about, because I've actually got some other stuff to think about already. And that bit is their stuff. And it's something really minor, but I practiced that yesterday and sat with the discomfort, and that itself released my overthinking or bending the boundary and giving up on the boundary that I'd set. I'm going to give you, as promised, a journal prompt. I will say this, on Wednesday, I'm going to be sharing an episode of this podcast where I'm going to share a sort of a compassionate, my words aren't coming out today as usual, a compassionate somatic exercise to help you really get a feel for healthy detachment. It's like a visualization I'm going to share on Wednesday's episode. So make sure you're following the podcast so that you can use it as a practical tool when you need it, as well as just, continue to boost your vibrations and your motivation around reclaiming your life and not being so reliant on other people's moods. So yeah, follow the podcast for that. Here is your journal prompt, and I'll put it in the description as well. What would help me become less reliant on other people's moods and more grounded in my own sense of peace? As you're answering that, really think about what it would look like in the moment when you're triggered, what it would look like day to day when you're not triggered, in order to be less reliant on other people's moods and more grounded in your own sense of peace. What would help you to do that, to become that, to embody that? Take a pen, take a paper, or meditate on it or walk on it, but really give that some self-reflection, the attention that it deserves. If you want to work with me on this or any main problem that you have right now, check out the single session. Please do subscribe, do all of the things. If you're listening to this on YouTube or on Spotify, leave a number 1 in the comments. Let me know that you are on this journey and that you are committed and determined to break this cycle. Also, you can feel free to come over to my Instagram, CarlyAnn_therapy, and DM me the number 1 as well. I love to connect with you guys in this way. I will see you back here on Wednesday for the compassionate exercise.